Didn't see a damn vector for the first 45 years.
Yeah, no, you're like, I got vectors coming out my ears. Come on.
On today's episode, my angel's a centerfold. Dan gets passive aggressive using AI, and Lindsey drives a McLaren without waking up the neighbors. It's That Car Show. It's That Car Show. We're back. Hey, guys.
We are. Hi.
It's
been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Guys, it finally happened to me. I found one of my former flames on the internet.
The automotive version of that.
Yeah. No angel is a centerfold or anything like that. But I found one of my former cars on Bring a Trailer. I knew it was only a matter of time before it happened to me. There's something about when you had a car and you see a picture, it doesn't matter if it's been modified or something. You can tell that was the one. That was
right.
The
You
one,
just have
right?
a sense memory where you're like, nope. Okay, so tell us everything.
Well, so I was shopping on Bring a Trailer and Cars and Bids. Actually, so it was Cars and Bids. It wasn't Bring a Trailer. It was Cars and Bids, but kind of one in the same. Yeah. I thought, well, wouldn't it be a great idea for me to find a really nice 997.2, I don't know, not what I need, doesn't check off a single box, but I've always admired the shape, right? I had a 997.1.
I mean, listen, how many of us really consider need in this space?
Yeah,
anyway?
it'd be a great third car, right? And in looking for a nice example, somewhere on the line, I was curious what early 718 Caymans were going for these days. And so sure enough, about a week before, a car had sold on Cars and Bids. That was my own 2017 Cayman that I had bought new way back when from Beechwood Porsche in Ohio, and had sent here new sight unseen. It was on an open trailer. So
oh my gosh.
it wasn't the whole sheet on the car, presentation. It was more like the rub the mud off the back, presentation.
Right. It was a little less PECLA and a little more DIY.
Yeah, a little more DIY. It was a little rough, but it was a great car, and that was the first new Porsche I'd ever bought. And it was an interesting spec because it was a base 718, so it was a 300 horsepower, the 2 liter. It was a manual. It had the 19-inch wheels, so it had some upgrades. It had the sport seats, the Sport Seats Plus, which were pretty unusual, at least on a base car. It had the model delete, the designation delete on the back, and some other things. And then I got down a few pictures, and sure enough, there was the Fab Speed exhaust that I had put on that car. Checked the VIN,
gosh.
same car, but it was now off to its fourth owner. I don't know if either one of you have ever run into an X or something, on the street, and it's somebody you haven't seen in a few years, and much like I'm sure they're thinking of you. A few more miles, on them, and looking a little rougher.
Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
Can I jump in here? Aston Martin used to run a marketing campaign, which wouldn't be appropriate these days, but it was a picture of
many marketing campaigns of yore.
So imagine this picture of this used, beautiful Aston Martin, and the tagline was, it's not your first, but does it really matter?
That's brilliant.
Back when Aston Martin had great advertising campaigns.
Owner number 4, I don't think cares. But here's the shocking part, guys. And I love our friends at Porsche Colorado Springs. And, I got this GT4, for sticker. But I traded that car that 17 came in on my 20 GT4 that I got new. And I got a certain dollar amount in trade. And it seemed a little light, but it was cool because, I was getting the GT4, right? Well, let me tell you. Is it 5 years later, right? 5 years later and an additional 30,000 miles. And that car went for, I think, 6 more than I got in trade in 2020. So the car's got 50-some thousand miles on it now. The poor thing, she's had her wheels painted black. She's had lowering springs. Yeah, it's murdered out, right? It's got a tint.
Phrase we never thought we'd say on this podcast, but here we are.
No, it's fine. It's just these are things I would not have done to it, right? And I had to laugh because when I sold that car, when I traded that car in, it was on its third set of tires. I had 21 or 22,000 miles on it, right? now with 50 whatever thousand miles and 5 years later, it still has the same front tires as it did with the 2018 date codes. But you know,
I feel like that's cause for concern or questions.
Someone either is not driving it hard enough or something, but it was really interesting to see that. You know, I know this is an experience many of us have had. I don't flip cars quickly. I tend to keep cars for a while.
Yeah.
So this is the first time. You know, I suppose someday I'll work up the courage and look up some other cars, but this one presented itself to me. It had from Colorado. The second owner had been in Kansas, and from Kansas it ended up in Wisconsin of all places. So obviously been driven in the winter. There was some corrosion,
right?
You know, some of the exhaust components and things. A little salt,
seasoning.
you know, yeah, you know. But there she was, and you know, she looked happy. He's just, you know, just
that's
a little.
all we want for our babies,
a little worse
right?
for the wear. That's right. That's right. Do you guys ever listen to the Human League, the band, the Human League?
Yes.
From the UK, right?
Yeah, from the UK. Yeah, and they had a
Sheffield, I
song.
think.
What's that?
From Sheffield.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and they had a song called Louise, and it was about running into an old flame on the bus, and you know, that's kind of the experience I had looking at that.
Yeah, I'm
Cars
sure.
and Bids ad, but I had to laugh because you know, the owner. It's the famous line. As far as I know, the car's never been tracked. Well, let me tell you. Not only had that car been tracked, but I had been on 3 automobile rallies
You're
and
like,
a couple of other.
Au contraire.
Yeah.
Far be it from me to correct.
So.
Amend. Yeah.
I'm so
Do
glad
your
that I
research,
wasn't there in
Doug,
real
you
time. Yeah.
Was
What's
it
that?
Doug's? It was Cars and Bids, right?
Say it again.
It was on Cars and Bids.
Cars and Bids. Yeah. It
Yeah,
was
so
on
Doug clearly hadn't done enough research on that car.
Yeah. So but then someone made the point, like, you can go in, you know, and if you can even still get one, a base Cayman, you know, is something like, you know, 80-some thousand. It's so if you can find one, you know, for, you know,
this week
less
you
than
can.
50. Yeah.
Next week it might be a different story with
Good segue.
Tariffs coming up and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. How about that, huh?
Yeah, makes you wonder whether used car values are going to go up. If, you know, tariffs are coming on brand new cars, does that mean that people will?
It's got to, right?
Well, hopefully, and then we can all sell our cars at profit, right?
Not afford to buy anything else.
I had a 911 and I sold my 911 back to a Porsche dealership. And you know how it's like then you forget about it?
Yeah.
Well, I was strangely reunited with it because I had a car cover for the 911, which I'd never used. And it's just me, but I buy car covers. I've got one for the Toyota. It's never been on it.
Thing.
But it's great to know that I've got it in case it hails or whatever, right?
You just need the knowledge security that you have it should the need arise.
Yes.
Comfort blanket for the car, isn't it?
That's right.
That's your security blanket is a car cover.
There we go. So I decide to sell the car cover for the 911 on the Facebook group for the Pacific Northwest Porsche group, the Porsche Owners Club. And a lady responds to me and decides she wants to buy it. And I look at her profile picture, and it's a picture of a black 911. And it was the same year as the one I had. So as I'm kind of selling this thing to her, I pinged her and said, "Hey, do you have a scratch below your left front headlight?" And she went, "Actually, yeah, I do. I did that in a car park." And I went, "No, you didn't. I did it driving down to Laguna Seca. I think you've got my old car." So it turned out that the car cover that I'd bought for my car eventually did go on my car, but not when I owned it.
That's wild.
That's great. Yeah, it's could have used that car cover.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
You're the exception, Lindsey, aren't you? Because you're the only one in the group who's actually rebought the same car.
That's true. Well, and I was thinking, and I did run
Sounds
into one of the cars in the wild too. It was a first generation Cayman S, and it was sold in Seattle. And the dealer that sold it was like an enthusiast, pre-owned dealer, and a lot of his cars at the time had been going to Canada. So the assumption was the car was sold and went to Canada. And then I was coming out of a work dinner one night and looked over my shoulder and went, "Wait a minute, I know that license plate." And I went over and talked to the guy, and it was so funny because he even had a skateboard in the back. And I'm like, well, it was, so it was still in Seattle. That was the only time. And that was, 4 or 5 years after it had been sold and hadn't run across it. But yes, the X3, the manual X3 was so nice. I've bought it twice. Which, got to give credit to Lieberman for that joke, actually. When I was telling him that I had bought it back, he's like, none of this makes any sense, but okay.
Well, it's not like you have that many to choose from if you're shopping, right? So the chances of you finding that original one are probably pretty high, right?
Right. Well, and I had sold it to family, and
okay.
what was interesting is that my daughter and I, independently of each other, as soon as it left, kind of had this pang of like, oh, maybe that was like we missed it immediately.
Yeah.
Which was interesting because when it was sold, we all, I thought, had sort of made peace of like, yeah, we've had a great run. We'd had it for 9 years, and like, yep, let's try something new.
Yeah.
The family it was going to help them out a lot and, be a real positive for them. And then as soon as it left, it was like, oh, wait. Yeah. So I just said, listen, I want right of first refusal when you guys are done with it. And so now it's back. For now. So we'll see what happens. Yeah.
A little bit of
it's had some health issues that I think go along with the age of the car, but, aren't really what I'm interested in managing going forward.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Watch this space.
Yeah. Can't wait to see what you get. And speaking of cars you may not have known existed, I happened to catch a Doug DeMuro episode today, I think his most recent, where he drives a Nissan Juke Nismo RS, which was available with all-wheel drive and a manual transmission.
That's not the one they
lot.
put the GTR engine in, is it?
Oh, God, no, because this is, I think, the big engine is 215 horsepower. But what an odd thing. I never knew that existed. Never thought about them having a manual transmission. It's an odd car. Just, again, I thought I knew them all. Didn't know this thing existed. So Doug DeMuro schooled me again. But
what a niche car. I mean, like, and the number of qualifiers, just as you were saying that, I'm like, you think you're done, and you're like, but wait, there's more, there's more. If I ever get around to creating the unexpected manual collection, I guess I have to add one of those too.
You could. The one he drove was an automatic, which in Nissan's world means it's a CVT. So a CVT, and then there was a front wheel drive version. That would be an odd one too. But he said apparently very few of the all wheel drive manual versions. I don't know what those cost.
Why.
It's probably too much, but the shame, I guess, of a Nismo product having 215 horsepower. But anyway.
Well, it's fascinating that they built that.
Yeah. Well, that's what he said. Like, he wasn't quite sure who the base Juke was for, and then they just kind of kept pushing the idea.
Like, what if we hot rodded it
further out there? Yeah. So,
have you guys heard of the Toyota Mega Cruiser?
Yes.
No. So this was Toyota's equivalent of a Hummer,
like the H1.
Like the H1.
Yeah.
And I was doing a tour of the shop a couple of weeks ago, which is a local restaurant and car storage place. Yeah. And there was one nicely parked there, and I think there's less than 300 in the world. So another obscure car.
So how does it compare size-wise to the H1?
It's massive. It's like a bus. There's like a time zone difference from the left to the right side. It's just...
But I mean, it's very similar to the H1, though, right, in size?
Yeah, maybe like the military H1.
Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah.
And I remember when those were, I guess, new, and Car and Driver did a piece on those. And I remember at the time thinking it was kind of like a pale imitation, right? Apparently it was created for the Japanese military, and then you could buy a civilian version, but again, very, very expensive. And when I look at it now, I think it's the better looking car versus the H1.
With the
because
benefit
it's a
of
Toyota,
hindsight.
right? Like, it's just, it just has that lasting quality that maybe an H1.
So here's your rarity. They made fewer than 150 civilian units.
Really? Wow.
And
they're
there's one
for like
in Seattle.
$400,000 or something now. They're just like crazy expensive. I've seen one as well, and I think it may have been during Car Week or something, but I do remember it, and it was one of those, all right, check that one off, like the first time you see a Vector, right?
Yes.
So we can all say we've seen multiple Vectors, and that's really weird. Didn't see a damn Vector for the first 45 years.
Yeah, no, you're like, I got Vectors coming out my ears. Come on. That's the joy of being in the Peterson orbit.
That's right. Hey, and speaking of orbits, you mentioned the shop. I know you got together with a buddy of ours, Colin, a few days ago. I guess that was. Time flies these days. But guys, he just picked up a new car,
and what did he get?
So this guy is living the life because he's young, makes good money, he's single, is living in the city. He could have his choice of cars, and he had a Carrera T, a 991 Carrera T for a while, and then he traded that in for a 992 GTS lightweight, which was a thing with lighter glass and the carbon buckets. It was a manual, really sweet car. GT Silver, great looking thing, but then had an opportunity again with our friends at Porsche Colorado Springs to get effectively like it's like I got like 2,000 miles or something. It's a 991.2 GT3 Touring, also in GT Silver, a beautiful car, very lightly spec'd. We always talk about this idea of base camp, like my GT4 only has a few $1,000s of options. This car may even have less in options, and it's so good because of it, right? It's got the rubber dash. It's got, no Alcantara. It has the bass stereo that I have, so not even the Bose, stereo.
Wait, so what is the bass stereo?
That would be the bass stereo. I think it's
It
has no label. It has no label. Yeah.
Just says nope.
I will. I will say the bass stereo in the couple of 718s that I've had is a better stereo than the Bose in the 997 that I had. But I think everything's gotten better, right? God, I remember that 997 I had. If you put up the seats in the back or down the seats, or whatever, there's this whole Acoustimass module. Do you remember when Bose was pushing this idea of, they called it Acoustimass, and it was this whole labyrinth of tubes and things that was supposed to. And I just remember in the 997, if you look back by the back seat there are these holes, and they just say Bose, but they're holes, right? They're not speakers, and apparently it's like a rat's nest of tubes and things that was supposed to enhance sound. It didn't. Let me tell you, that was a terrible stereo. But I think the move with the no-name stereo in the Porsche and a GT car is the move, because I think you save like 14 pounds, right, over the Bose, which has bigger speakers, so then bigger magnets and all that. But this car, guys, I was so envious. Just beautiful. Silver wheels, right? It just, obviously a stick. And then we met up with our pals at Pearl Street here in Denver, and then we peeled off, Colin and I, and then our buddy Kurt, who's Eat, Sleep, Drive on YouTube. And he just picked up, I think, what is the bargain Porsche of the moment, which is like the 2014, 2015 GT3 that was PDK only, so the 991.1. Sapphire blue, beautiful car, center exhaust elite. It just sounded so much better than either of the other cars we were in. And what a car, what a great car. In fact, there was an article in an Autoblog, give them a plug, a couple days ago, about how that's the one to get because those cars were riddled with engine issues. I think it was a follow valve. Again, I'm not a mechanic. There was a fatal flaw in those engines, and they replaced a lot of the engines in those early cars and stuff. So if you can find one, especially one that's CPO under warranty, like our friend Kurt did, you can be in great shape because they're just awesome. 475 horsepower. So anyway, but back to that GT3 Touring. What a car! Have either one of you driven one of those? They're so
Not
good.
yet.
They're so good.
Yeah,
There's something special about those. I don't know what it is. It's just, they're just cool.
You don't need a stereo, do you, with that engine?
That GT3 Touring, I think, has just got to go down. I mean, I'm not the first one to say this, right? But it's got to go down as just one of the great modern Porsches. And I think the question is the price gulf worth it, right, for the Touring, or even, dare I say, like a GT4, right, which would probably have 90% of the performance. Right. Is the GT3 Touring worth twice or more of the price? I don't know. But
Well, and
damn, it's a
do you
good
think
thing.
it's just like the cachet of being able to say GT3?
I mean, the shape, it's the superior shape. I'm not saying it's the superior chassis, but it is the superior shape, right? There's a little more room. It just looks so good, He's got front axle lift, right? So he's not scraping and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's the shape. It's got, it's got the real motorsport engine that the GT4 doesn't have, right? It's a different there's the 4-liter, is it not? Yeah. But
Above
it's
my
just
pay grade at the moment.
seems a little more special, I guess, but I'm thrilled for the guy. They're great.
That's an amazing get. I mean,
It is.
that's a good point, because that was one thing about the Cayman S was there is a volume difference in the sense of like the cabin size and
Absolutely.
just the space you have to work with, but
Yeah.
still really fun cars. I mean,
Absolutely. Well, and again, you kind of, what do they say? Buy all the Porsche you can afford, right?
exactly.
And
And
that's
then you work your way up.
he's where he is, and I'm where I am. That's okay.
I mean, and some of us have none of it, so you're way up.
Right. Yeah. At least you're on the Porsche ladder.
Exactly.
I
See the
suppose.
ladder from where I am.
There's
Right.
not a bad Porsche out there, right? That's the other thing, right? So even that guy who got my 2017, car that's been defiled, is still got a hell of a car. So anyway, in a nutshell, love the car. It's one of the great cars. I don't know. I mean, it's probably a great time to buy them because I don't think they've ever been cheaper, but they're still out of my league. So
Note
good
to
on you,
self.
Colin. Great car. And whoever ends up with his beautiful traded in GTS 992 is going to get a hell of a car too. A car that is almost certainly faster in a straight line for about $50,000 less. But
So it's still at Porsche Colorado Springs.
as far as I know, yeah, I might need to go test drive.
This is going to show I've been
You're
listening
there.
to John and Justin, but apparently not closely enough, because I'm like, what's Nancy's number?
You're there
right.
tomorrow for a special party on you, right?
That's right. There's I think it's a singer owners party or some sort of reception. I was joking around with my buddy Willis, who we know from the steering committee. He texted me, said, "You going to this thing?" And I said, "Yeah, but they're probably going to give me a tuxedo shirt and some black pants and a tray of hors d'oeuvres."
Stack of napkins in one hand.
Make yourself useful.
That's right. That's right. Got band practice after this,
Right.
But should be fun. And then John and Justin of First Dibs have kindly invited me to join them on their show. And I think it's going to be Mr. Dickinson himself from Singer as well. I think if they play their cards right.
That'll be pretty
it's the
awesome.
least the guy can do, right? They're throwing a party. He can come by and say hi on
Right.
the podcast. If that's the case, I probably won't be doing a whole lot of talking because I'll suddenly be the least interesting person on the microphone. So anyway, looking forward to it. Should be fun. And then they've got a Cars and Coffee, I think, the next morning as well down in Colorado Springs. Love Colorado Springs. Love Porsche Colorado Springs. Sometimes I just wish they were not an hour and a half away
Right.
from my house. So
At least this time they are above and beyond making it worth the drive.
absolutely. And of course, if you ever go down there from Denver, Dan, you know this, there's the good way and then there's the interstate. And the interstate sucks. I don't know what it is about that. That is one of the worst stretches of interstate. I mean, it's pretty, I guess, but it's straight as an arrow. Everyone drives like a jerk, and it's always packed. And the left lane's a toll lane now. It's just kind of hell. But there's this alternative way you can go through the Pike National Forest, and it's pretty gorgeous and follows a river for a long part of it. But I don't know what the conditions are yet this early.
So speaking of driving like a jerk, I read a story that's just come out, and it says that Google have partnered with the electric race series, so Formula E, and they're using AI to coach drivers in real time. So you can imagine the setup. You're going for your lap, and you take a corner, and the AI coach will immediately tell you and say, "Hey, you lifted too early, or you
God.
didn't brake hard enough."
Who can't AI put out of a job?
So it's putting coaches out of a job.
Yeah.
But it kind of got me thinking, what if they took that technology and applied it to drivers of Washington State, right? And just kind of coached them through some of their bad habits.
I mean, that could be life-changing for you and me.
Right. So what I did is I decided to do a bit of a mock-up to see what that would look like. And here are some of the results.
Hey, Num gone nuts? How about you be courteous next time you leave a traffic circle and use that blinker? Are we going on vacation? As you appear to be camping in the middle lane.
You know, and I feel like we could actually
It may
do
not
like,
be dark, but it's a foggy morning.
It's got more.
Why don't you turn those lights on if you know
There's
how?
one more.
This is actually Dan just talking through a filter. This is
How
what this
about
is. You know
stop
this,
being a
right?
dickhead and cutting in at the last minute just to save 1 minute of waiting?
So coming soon, I'll be patenting that technology in partnership with Google, and we'll make the Washington State drivers better.
I was going to say, how do we, so what I'm hearing is that we all need to install the like law enforcement external speaker system. And then we just have buttons.
The idea is this is like an app on your phone, and as you're driving, it gives you real-time feedback. So if you've just done that on the traffic circle,
Yeah.
it will tell you.
Oh, so within your car.
Yeah.
Take some of the romance out of it, huh?
Well, and you know,
hopefully
I
it
feel
makes-
like we could maybe create like a West Coast initiative because this is in line with should Spike run for governor. It's very in line with all of the Governor Ferriston initiatives.
What have I missed?
Well, you know, this was a couple months ago, and they said like a key, you know, element of the platform would be the campers in the left lane. So I feel like this lines up, you know, exactly with his campaign.
Yeah.
We just have to get Oregon on board, and then we have the West Coast.
There we go.
Do you think the drivers where you are exceptionally bad? Like, Lindsey, you split your time
Yeah.
between SoCal and the Seattle area. Do you think the drivers are worse in Washington?
It's tricky.
I mean, there's a
because
rhythm to California.
Well,
right?
because the speed limit is so much lower than, well, not so, I mean, officially, the speed limit in Seattle is 5 miles lower than it is in Southern California, where speed limit is 65. But I think, and maybe road conditions play into this because the weather
Yeah.
in Southern California is generally reliable in terms of sunny and dry. In Seattle, there are instances where it's wet or cloudy or whatever. But the general sort of approach in Seattle is like if it's 60, you go 60. And in California, it's 65, but depending on the road conditions, we all collectively can go faster.
Right.
So I think it feels like a bigger difference than it would on paper.
Is that the top, like, is that as fast as any of the highways are marked, is 60?
Some of them go to 70 when you get outside of town, but it's like a bit
Okay.
out. And you're like,
Yeah.
hey, 70, look out.
Where was I driving recently? It was maybe it was Nebraska, and I saw, I think, an 85. Was it
Wow.
80 or 85? It was an 80, but damn, like
That's amazing.
That's kind of a nice speed, you know? Like, I don't really want to do too much faster with the family, right? Like on a
Right.
trip. Because you're doing 89 then. Right? It's kind of where it's at, right?
Because suddenly, here we are.
60 seems really, really slow. But we're Dan, I don't know what things were like in the UK at the time, but when we were growing up, Lindsey, and yes, I'm a little bit older than you, but we had to still the 55. Like that was,
Yeah.
we would drive across the country doing 55 miles an hour. It's amazing anything ever got done.
Right?
You know?
Yeah.
Of course, the cars were only 80 horsepower.
It was a different
Big
time.
V8.
But yeah, I remember when that legislation went through to increase it.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
A lot of discussion.
All the extra cigarette smoke you inhaled because of the 55
Right?
mile an hour speed limit on family trips.
Really was
Anyway.
a different time.
Well, Dan, I like that idea of the coaching, though, right? It's. I assume this involves telematics, and it's quite involved, and but so this is probably not going to come to a car near you anytime soon.
Right, not in the
I
short
like-
term, but
I like the
also,
idea.
it would probably help with car insurance premiums as well. If people are getting coaching and they're becoming safer drivers.
That's a better way than doing the tracker thing.
Yeah.
Have you all had that conversation with your agent, and you're just trying to hold back the laughter?
Yeah. Like, no, by
I
all
don't
means,
think that product
please
was
help
designed
yourself.
for me, ma'am.
Yeah. Help yourself to my data.
Yeah.
So what I want to know is how do we set it up where if you're on the road and you see somebody who could, let's say, really benefit from the app and you want to help them because they do have, we're in the early stages of the cars communicating with each other while you're on
Yeah.
the road in terms of like braking distance and spacing, and as we move towards autonomous driving and the cars being able to sense like where the other cars are, how soon do we think we could get where you're like, what I need to share with the driver ahead of me is my friend the app, my friend
I think
the AI coach.
It's got to be very basic technology, right? I mean, you can just sort of like choose to accept the message.
Right, like you just
Right.
airdrop your little like on the road coach.
Yeah. I mean, there's some shorthand available already.
I feel like that's the genteel, that's the modern version of the finger, where you're like,
Yeah.
may I introduce you to my dear friend, the coach.
The
I
app
gave
was for
someone
you.
the finger tonight. And I
What?
think it's been years since I
I
gave
thought
someone
you
the
were a gentleman, Ryan.
That's right. There was a kid, so it's one of the first nice days out, right? So every Yahoo on an unregistered dirt bike is zipping around. Every rich kid on a $4,000 cake, electric bike or whatever is popping wheelies in front of the ice cream store, And there was a kid who I think falls into the latter category as I was driving home today, who was popping a wheelie down, the yellow stripe. He was up so high he could not see ahead of him, and he almost swerved into me. And I flashed my lights and gave him the finger, and it just happened. Stressed my wife out completely because I was the bad guy in that situation.
Right.
Anyway,
Kid on
be
a bike
careful
on the
out
road,
there.
but yeah, you're the bad guy. Yeah.
God, yeah. You don't have to have a license, I don't think, for those, right? Even though they're every bit as fast as a motorcycle.
No,
and
but yeah, there's a
just
lot of
plate.
debate about, because there's no
Yeah.
legislation yet about them being allowed on the roads, because they are
Yeah.
right now. But yeah, like, should they be?
What's the term for reckless motorcyclists? Young kids on Yamahas without helmets. I think they call them squids, right?
I don't
We've
know.
got to come up with a term for these guys on these electric bikes. What's a beta fish? I don't know. Like what's lesser than a squid?
An amoeba.
An amoeba, yeah, jellyfish. I don't know.
Yeah.
They don't look pretty on the pavement either. So
No.
anyway, be careful
No.
out there. So yeah,
Yeah.
got lots of summer left.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, it was you, Dan, that sent over this note about Lewis Hamilton and his little gift that's being discussed possibly from Ferrari. Do you want to fill us in? Because that's when you're kind of the king, right?
Well, there's a story running in the press right now that as part of the Lewis Hamilton negotiations when he moved from Mercedes to Ferrari,
Okay.
he got to influence car design and car development.
At
The first one was the
Ferrari.
cape. That was the first thing, right? That he had.
Yeah,
was
he
the
had to
cape.
come with an Italian cape. They had to give him an Italian suit, an Italian cape. But the story headline is that he's going to get involved in developing the natural successor to the Ferrari F40. And because he wears number 44 on his car, they'll call it the Ferrari F44.
Oh.
And potentially it'll be a manual car. But I can't see it being a manual car. But what do you guys think?
I can see it absolutely being a manual car. Just because people have been clamoring for a manual Ferrari, and that's I think what would make sense in some special, top of the heap kind of model. What do you think, Lindsay?
But their rationale, right, is that they're always doing the most advanced driving machines possible.
Yeah,
They haven't done a manual since the California.
That's
so
what
we're
I was
talking
going to ask. Like,
2010.
when?
Yeah. And
So
we all
this would mean-
knew and loved the California.
Right. Well, the 430 was similar time, wasn't it? That was the
Just a
manual as well.
handful, though, right? I think, yeah. That's,
Yeah, but more 430s than Californias. So we're talking 15 years ago. So that's 15 years of development they're
Yeah.
behind when it comes to manual gearboxes, etc. Right?
Yeah.
So would they invest all that money, or would they buy a manual gearbox from someone else?
I would argue that that's the only direction to go at some point here, right? We all know this. Like, the money is sort of collecting, is pooling in certain populations, right? They're looking to spend it, right? What do you buy when you can't buy that? I mean, it's. I don't know. I mean, I think isn't Aston Martin bringing back manuals? Am I making that up?
No,
Yeah.
Adrian Hallmark has said that he will continue to do.
Okay.
And obviously the natural successor to the F1
Yeah.
will have a manual gearbox.
Yeah. We're speaking of the T50.
Yeah.
And the T33, I guess, as well. But it's, I don't know. I mean, I think that becomes, at that level, these are toys anyway, right?
Yeah.
If you want a track toy, go get yourself a Valkyrie or whatever, right? Or
Yeah. I think it'll be an interesting test of like how big of a market there is for, because it's an interesting intersection of true enthusiasts who want, more of an analog experience, but also want a Ferrari. But there's going to be people that are fans of Lewis. A certain group would buy whatever he helps, like whatever he's involved in.
Yeah.
So it'll be an interesting Venn diagram of like how many of those people really exist.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
What direction Ferrari chooses to go. I think at a minimum, it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, these are going to be like super premium, like $10 million or something, I assume, right?
Well, and I would
Like
imagine it
that's-
would be a very, very limited number.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
then you have to make the finances work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's they have already come out, haven't they, publicly, and sort of said that you kind of need to spend about $30 million with us, Ferrari, to buy or be invited to buy some of our most premium cars, right? So it's that history with Ferrari and then being able to buy. But I think the Gordon Murray cars have sold out pretty much for the next few years, haven't they? So
I think so. Yeah.
kind of proves there's a market for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought one,
Only one?
This one.
I do know a guy
Really?
that bought the 33. Yeah, our buddy Artie, who had been on the steering committee way back when, and he has promised to let me drive it when he gets it. So we'll see. But
Sounds like you need to take him up on his offer.
well, I'm
So
going to
at
hold
that
out for the
point-
50, guys.
I mean, it's
So
only
at that point, you'll be competing with Lindsey in terms of cars she's getting to drive lately. I'm getting a bit bored of it. But Lindsey, what was the latest car you had?
if I'm not boring you guys with the latest exciting weekend car that I had, then I guess I'm not doing my job.
Right.
This past weekend, it was a McLaren Artura,
Nice.
courtesy
Wow.
of Vorsteiner, which,
Yes.
and so I learned a lot. I didn't know that McLaren had made a hybrid, and that's what the Artura is. And, I have read a lot of articles or Instagram posts or whatever about these super or hyper cars that have a hybrid element or have, a little bit of electric range. And I actually got to live out the scenario of like, hey, it's really useful to have even a tiny bit of electric range when you want to sneak out of your neighborhood, politely,
Yeah.
pre-dawn, and, be a good neighbor. And so I got to do that because I went to Johnny Lieberman and Sang Yoon had their inaugural Helms Bakery Cars and Coffee Sunday morning. And I took the McLaren, of course.
Nice.
And Sunday morning, so pre-dawn, I'm leaving the neighborhood, and I went like, wait a minute, I can just stealthily sneak right out in electric mode, and nobody's the
Dude, if
wiser.
you've got a McLaren for the weekend, you're making as much fucking noise as you can.
You don't like your neighbors anyway, do you?
I mean, in every other instance, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So where does the Artura fit in anymore? It's kind of on the lower end,
I
right?
think it is, and this
But-
one, this one was unique. It had a lot of the Vorsteiner carbon aftermarket
Cool.
options
cool,
on it.
cool.
I
And,
kept.
and I'm not
No, no, no.
diminishing it at all because I think that's where the sweet spot is for McLaren, right? I think it's just very quickly becomes diminishing returns, right? I mean, you're going to get that same experience. I mean, it's all the power you'd ever need.
Well,
I
that's
think it's a
I mean,
good looking
it's
thing,
still
better looking than
McLaren.
some of the more expensive ones. Yeah.
And like this one, it had a Vorsteiner carbon fiber wing on the back, and so it really added to the driving experience because a lot of the time, some of this aftermarket stuff is on the outside. You see it when you get in or out, but you're not experiencing it during the drive. And because the wing was perfectly positioned in the rearview mirror, so every time I looked in the rearview mirror, I'm like, I'm Batman. This is amazing.
I'm looking at it now because I needed just a little reminder.
Just a
It's a
refresher.
really good looking car. I really
is.
like it.
And it was
I
a
don't
great
like
size.
every McLaren.
You know,
Yeah.
it was.
It's like a McLaren Cayman.
Yeah, that's a good
in a way,
description.
right?
Like a
but,
good.
but 2.5 times the price, 3 times the price.
Right. But who's counting? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and this one had, these beautiful Vorsteiner blue wheels, which when I saw it in the sunlight, when I saw the car, I'm like, oh, there's blue flake in the paint. So that was picked up in the wheels.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, it was an interesting sort of exercise for me. It made me realize I think I'm predisposed to anytime I get to drive something new is a positive experience for me. Like that's always a treat. So I go into it, happy, and I'm less likely to like the stuff that might detract from it or might bother you doesn't bother me as much because I'm like, yeah, but it's something different. Like I'm getting to drive something new.
Yeah.
So
that does not suck.
no, like I'm not, somebody's offered to let me enjoy their McLaren for the weekend. I'm not going to complain.
So did you have a better time in that or the Gunther Works?
The Gunther Works.
Okay. It's also, 5 times the price?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the numbers, but driving experience, comfort-wise, the seats were more comfortable in the Gunther Works.
Okay.
The
Manual transmission.
yeah, the transmission, almost immediately, the transmission in the McLaren was catching my attention in a bad way, like coming up to stoplights or whatever. It was very evident as the downshifting was like, it impacted the physical feel.
Yeah.
And, when that kind of stuff is making itself known, it's not great, but it's, the Gunther Works is a full manual. The McLaren's not. It had paddle shifters, obviously. Yeah. But, I mean, there were some very fun moments in that car. I picked it up and immediately took it down PCH because that's the only reasonable approach.
Yeah.
And as I was driving down PCH, there was a young girl in the car next to me with her mom, and she was very aware of what it was. And we were on the road for a bit with each other, and she was I could hear her talking to her mom and going, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So that was really fun. And then I got to Crystal Cove and was driving through the parking lot, and I realized there was a young boy, like maybe 6, with a phone taking video. And that was really fun because, I love seeing young kids and families, enjoying the car hobby. And then there were these 2 guys that I think had just gotten off of their shift from one of the restaurants in the center, walking through, and we kind of crossed paths, and they were like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, and kind of hooting and hollering. And the one guy said, okay, I'll trade you him for the car. So as I pulled away, I'm like, did I just get offered a person and trade for the car?
Let me ask you this. So every once in a while, I'll get to drive something that's nicer than what I have.
Sure.
And, be at a gas station or something, and someone will inevitably say something to me about a nice car, whatever. And I always feel compelled to say, but it's not mine.
Yeah.
Right? And I would never say that if it was mine, but and of course they'd never know, but I feel like I have to give that disclaimer, right?
Right.
It's just,
yeah, I
don't
think
know.
for the most part, if it's a super quick interaction, like with these guys in the parking lot, I just said thank you. And I think generally, if it's too quick where it's not going to delve into like, is this yours? I'll just say thank you. I agree.
Yeah.
So it's we're on the same, like we both appreciate this thing. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, if it's anything longer than a passing conversation, I end up saying like, it's not mine, but I'm very lucky to be enjoying it right now or whatever.
Right. It's funny how that works there. Right? Lindsey living that thug life. What about you, Dan? You were out in your GR, which we don't hear nearly enough about.
I know.
Right.
Not a McLaren, but still a very nice car.
Well, it was Tuesday this week. It was sunny, which if you've lived the winter of Seattle, it's been a while, hasn't it, Lindsay?
Yeah. Well, and we had a day, and then it came back again yesterday with a vengeance.
That's right. So it was sunny Tuesday.
Move to
with
Seattle,
threats.
they said.
Yeah.
That's-
Threats the next day of inch-long hail. So there are loads of pictures on the internet right now of people who have sellotaped cardboard to their cars to protect them from the hail, and the hail never came.
Good
Yeah.
people. These
We
are my
did-
people.
We did
Yeah,
get
these are the cardboard.
unbelievable thunder and lightning like I have never
Yeah,
heard in my
yeah.
life, though. And we have been through a bomb cyclone, so that's saying something.
Yes, we've had all the weather this winter. It's been horrible, but a sunny day, and the car just sat there, and it was like, I've got to take it for a spin.
Yeah.
So, I got out in the sunshine, went to see my good friends at Dirtfish.
Nice.
So shout out to everyone there. It was good to catch up with everyone. Not too much had changed. And then went off to One Drivers Club.
Oh, fun.
So that's Redmond. So see what was there and what was new. And there was a few new cars, but not too much. Unfortunately, it was Will's day off, so I didn't get to see Will, but got talking to some members, and and then the drive back. So it was just a nice sunny day and good excuse to go for a drive.
Have you connected with that car? Like, is that a car that scratches the itch? Is it?
I love the car.
Yeah.
I feel guilty about having it. Because it's done less than 3,000 miles, and I've had it a year.
Yeah. Well,
so it's like it sits there for most of the year in the car park, and then I've taken it on road trips and stuff, but I do feel guilty having it. So I don't know whether connecting and guilt are linked or.
That's for our different. That's for that car show therapy edition.
Therapy, yeah.
I know the feeling. But. What else do we have? I think we're getting near a show here.
Yeah.
But what should we talk about next? This is something that I definitely did not want to miss. This is the Typhoon that sold.
Yeah.
Was it Bring a Trailer?
That was remarkable.
We have talked ad nauseum, or at least I have, about typhoons and cyclones and bomb cyclones and all the other cyclones.
Yeah, talk about a segue. Speaking of weird vehicles.
Yeah. And we had our buddy Mike Lasasso on recently talking about his Typhoon that caught on fire. So there's a joke there somewhere.
Spectacular end.
Yeah, pouring out for that thing.
Yeah.
A rare red Typhoon. So anyway.
His was red as well?
Oh, this one is red, right? It caught on fire.
Well, and so years ago, so my family had the 85 Bronco that I learned to drive in. And then I had good friends who had a Volvo sedan that had been through, most of the friend group and actually had flames painted on it.
Oh.
And both of them were nearing the end of their life. And there was so much more discussion than there should have been about creating a spectacular send-off for both of these. And the depths of the logistical discussion of like, okay, if we lit them on fire, if we drove them off a cliff, how do we make that happen? Because these cars both deserve to be celebrated. So when Mike was talking about his catching on fire, I'm like, that's kind of the dream scenario in some ways.
Yeah, you hear about people who love cars, love to race, and they die on the racetrack, right? It's that kind of,
right.
It's the equivalent for a car, right? This one, I'm looking at it now, it's red, it's beautiful. It's kind of like that fire engine red, almost like a guard's red.
And it's non-metallic. It's like a cherry fire engine.
It looks good. And it's a two-door SUV, right? Which, we hardly see anymore, right? It's such a good-looking thing. The wheels look tiny on it, but they look right? I think they're probably 15-inch wheels or something, right? 16-inch maybe. I don't know what they are, but it's a good-looking thing. Just don't look too closely, right? Like, you can see where, maybe some of the cladding is starting to separate and some of the other gremlins that these things have. But I think it's cool. Is it a $225,000 car? To me, no. I'd go get a GT3 Touring, apparently, but a hell of a thing. And I don't know. I think those cars were just so special to those of us who just kind of our enthusiasm or our growing up just intersected right with that era. That was it. Those are so cool.
It's like a moment in time, and it's I think it's the same sort of novelty as like the first gen Lightning, where it was like the most basic pickup truck, but when you stepped on the accelerator, blow your socks off. And I think that's the same with the Typhoon. Yeah, where it's like, this is a two-door Blazer, but like step on the accelerator, you're going to have a good time.
I just want to get in that, turn on some Color Me Bad and go scoop the loop. That thing is cool, but it's a hell of a lot of money. But the person who bought it was someone just like us, right? Who wanted it when they were younger.
Yeah.
Who, now got the money, got some NVIDIA stack.
It's only got 688 miles.
Well, and that's got to be the lowest one, and that's a good point, Dan. It's got to be the lowest.
So I wonder if it's just destined for a collection and never to be driven type.
I hope not. Maybe, but maybe I think ideally, like you said, somebody, or Ryan, it's somebody who, hit it big and they're like, this
Yeah.
was my dream car. Because to me, it's kind of the same idea as the Dakar Yellow E39 M5 that Zuckerman bought that
Yeah.
had
Yeah, it is.
600 and change. It's the same
Yep.
concept
Pinnacle.
of like, it's a brand new example from
Yeah.
the time, but now, like, I think.
How much was that M5? Are we thinking?
How much?
Yeah, Zuckerman's.
I'm trying to think. Wasn't it listed for 200?
Yeah, I was reading between the lines. I'm thinking it was maybe even less than this Typhoon.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
because
and
the
who-
list price initially was 200, I think.
Yeah.
But that's not what he paid. Like they've said
yeah.
he because it had been sitting for a while too.
Yeah. So that said, the M5's getting my money.
Right? Yeah. I
But-
mean well, and I got to see it on Sunday and it's gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
It's beautiful.
When you see a car like that you haven't seen one so perfect since they were new, it really does take you back, doesn't it? Like it's just
Yeah, because there was,
was
you know,
such
I
a good
looked in
car.
and BMW fans will be familiar with this. There's like a louvered teeny tiny section in the center console in the front, and it's like a louvered little. It's not a door, but it just covers like it might even cover the ashtray. I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
remember, but I looked in and I saw it, and it was like this sense memory from that time period where you go, oh my gosh, that's right.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
those were-
hopefully, I mean, I would imagine it's somebody who really appreciates the Typhoon and
Yeah.
always wanted one new at the time and now
Well,
had the
what's
opportunity to
funny-
get one.
I'm looking at his profile or her profile on Bring a Trailer.
Yeah.
2 days later, they bought a 20,000-mile Cyclone for $50,000.
Ah, they got the set.
She's
I
got
love
the
it.
pair. She's got the pair.
Yeah. Wow. What color is the Cyclone? Black, right?
It's black, yeah.
Most of them were. I think they did a few other colors, a couple other colors.
20,000
Or were they all
miles.
black?
Hmm.
I don't know.
But a quarter of the price.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
do we think Edwin Castro has shifted his focus from
That's
Porsches
right.
to hot rod GMC trucks?
I think you may have hit the nail on the head. That's I don't know. Cool thing, but I guess it begs the question, what would be your sort of I don't know. What do you want to call it?
Well, like
Throwback
if you
car.
could get, yeah, like what, well, it's kind of, it's
Yeah.
the same idea too of like what they've talked about on Spikes is going back and buying these old cars. It's an opportunity to travel through time and also, in a jokey way, like right the wrongs of like what were the cars you couldn't get at the time.
Yeah.
And if you've done okay, you can go back and sort of check the boxes of like, well, here's what I wanted
Yeah.
and now I can buy it. Yeah. Do you guys have cars that you lusted after? And if
Yeah,
you could find
yeah.
a like new example, you would acquire now?
I think there's two for me. The first would be going back to a car I owned, which was the 2005 M3 Cab,
Yes.
which was a lovely car, just such a cool car.
The E46,
to-
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So getting one of those that was minimal miles, etc.
Those were so
The
good.
other is a car that didn't come to the US, which was the original Focus RS.
oh,
So
yeah.
I think it was just a European car. I don't think it came to the US. And I remember going and seeing one in a showroom, and I couldn't afford it. But yeah, they were lovely cars. How about yourselves?
What about you, Ryan?
I like an M5. I actually like the E28 or the E34. The E34 was the one that really was on my radar with those turbine wheels. So it looked like it had a white wall tire. And so
Oh,
everyone
yeah.
put the throwing stars or whatever on. A car that I would have killed for in high school when it was new. So talking about 1992, 1993. There was one girl in my school who had one because her dad owned the Honda dealership. But I would have killed for a yellow Honda CRX SI, maybe a bazooka tube in the back, if you feel me. And that was just something that it wasn't an expensive car necessarily, but something that certainly was out of my reach and just something I thought was cool and something that they just don't make anymore, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you see one of those now, which is a rare thing. They're tiny. It's like a little ladybug or something. Probably wouldn't fit in it now, but that was a car that kind of represented, something that was just a little out of my reach, but it was just very much of the era, I bet the best CRX SI in the world is probably a $35,000 car, an SI, right? A yellow one, a nice color like that. But I'd have to check the archives.
I like the yellow choice.
Yeah, I just thought that was a cool car, and I didn't have one, and or maybe one of the preludes of the era, right? Those were just peak Honda, you know. But what about you, Lindsay?
Yeah, I was just thinking. So I think, I mean, it's funny. Like we've talked about when you look back of like the threads of your car enthusiasm.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like what's been on my mind a lot lately is that I, as a 12-year-old, was hyper aware when the Explorer was introduced. Because
Like the Gen 1.
Very first, it was
yeah.
really the first SUV, like in my, awareness.
Yeah.
And I don't love the Gen 1 design now. So I think if I could find a 96 Bronco that was like a new example,
Yeah.
that would do it for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or like an LR4 that had no miles, because that
Oh,
was a dream
God.
car.
Yeah.
At another point in my life. I mean, I think
yeah.
that's
a cool thing.
that's what's funny maybe about being a car person is that like you have these dream car, like that was my dream car in high school and this was my dream car then. And so, it's a long list, as it always is.
Yeah. I'm kind of having that with the Ineos Grenadier at the moment, where I see one. It's like, I don't know if I'd ever buy one. Can't really afford one. Doesn't really fit in my, it's not really a place for it. But
Right.
when I see someone drive one, I think they look so cool. I think they look like a boss driving those. I think that'd be a fun thing. I'd like to like buy one now and just kind of like wrap it up, and then 30 years from now, unwrap it.
You'd like to create the time capsule that someone else will eventually buy in the future.
Yeah, because I don't think those are going to be around in 30 years for a couple different reasons. So
Yeah. I haven't had a lot of experience. I think we all actually looked at those together at the San Clemente Cars and Coffee when we were all
didn't get to
together.
drive one.
The first time I had seen one in action was at that Dirtfish Women's Off-Road Day. They used it as part of the demonstration of hauling. If you had a friend that got stuck, how do you do like a slackline tow? I will say the Grenadier versus the Rivian truck, the Rivian came out ahead every time. Like, I was surprised. I'm like, am I seeing this right? Knowing what the Grenadier's price point is, I'm like, ooh, you might want to rethink that purchase if that's where you're leaning, and you want to take it off road. Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I guess there's always something. Grass is always greener, right? No matter what you have, So.
Well, that's why we try all these different things.
That's right. All right. Well, I got nothing else. How about you two?
I think that's a show.
It was a fun show. Yeah. Always good to see you guys. Good to catch up.
You too.
And until next time, always be driving. We're That Car Show.
That's right.
Good night.